Hudson Soft's long-running Bomberman series was dormant for years before the release of Super Bomberman R, a timed exclusive that launched with the Nintendo Switch in March of 2017. In the 7 years between releases, Hudson Soft ceased to exist, and were consequently absorbed into Konami, and the gaming landscape had changed even more than it had compared to the halcyon days when there was a new Bomberman released pretty much every year and on every platform. That in mind, I bought Super Bomberman R with my Switch, opting to have something I could maybe force my friends to play with me at parties. I ended up not playing very much of it, but I really wanted to support the effort. At launch, the game was pretty average, but I was happy to see Konami and Hexadrive continue to work on it, adding characters and features while also optimizing performance. When Nintendo and Arica released Tetris 99 in 2019, it opened up a conversation amongst my friends of what would make for interesting Battle Royale type games, and Bomberman was the one I mentioned almost immediately. Thankfully, my request was heard, and Konami released a spin-off, Super Bomberman R Online. Unfortunately, it was a timed exclusive for Google's Stadia platform in September of 2020. I actually completely forgot about it until it was listed for release on every other platform for May 27th of this year. So far, I've put a few hours into it on my Switch, playing a few rounds every day or so, though when I started capturing footage for this video, I have since mostly moved over to the PC version. Super Bomberman R Online is a free-to-play 64-player online battle royale, where all 64 players are spread out in groups of 4 across 16 interlinked boards. As the number of players dwindles, boards are eliminated, and between rounds, players can move between them. Beyond that, it's pretty typical Bomberman gameplay. Blow up the other players, don't get blown up yourself, collect items, and find rideable animal friends who help to enhance the chaos you can cause. Once you get to the last 8 or so players remaining, the game gets exponentially more tactical. Even more so when the final board starts losing movable space to force players into closer quarters, ensuring the game doesn't just run indefinitely. By this point, players are throwing and kicking bombs, causing chain reactions, and trying to maneuver however they can to stay alive. It is terrifying. Bomberman is the perfect vessel for the Battle Royale gameplay loop. While the game is free to play, there is a $10 premium pack that includes 14 additional playable characters, as well as some other game modes, most importantly the ability to play private matches with your friends. On top of that, there is also an in-game currency used to buy cosmetic upgrades for your characters. Honestly, I don't pay that much attention to these things, and while players with the premium pack start the game with somewhat of an advantage, I don't think it provides anything a skilled Bomberman player wouldn't be able to overcome. I haven't paid for the premium pack, though I have thought about it just to support the game. I'm really not the biggest fan of this type of monetization, but I get the inclusion as a means to make the game sustainable. I hope this game is actually doing well enough for Konami to continue working on it. It really is a lot of fun and is fully playable without dropping any money on it. The game isn't perfect by any means. The load times can be pretty bad, and I'm not sure how much of that is technical versus how much is a side effect of a small player base. Often I will find myself doom scrolling on my phone while I was waiting for a match to begin. I know Konami is working on this, and between editing passes of this script, I saw that they just issued a small fix that explicitly listed optimizing load times in its patch notes. I hope this gets better, because I've had multiple instances where the loading screen music just ends up fading out while I'm waiting. Speaking of music, one of the biggest problems with the game has to be the soundtrack. At its worst, it sounds like generic electronic video gaming music that doesn't know really when to back off, while at best, it'll sound like off-brand Splatoon outtakes. It's not necessarily bad, it's just really bland. That said, there are some remixes included of themes from other Konami and Hudson games, and they're not awful. I just wish the main soundtrack was better. Considering that Bomberman games used to have really awesome soundtracks, what's here is rather disappointing. The mid to late 1990s Bomberman titles were full of interesting electronica, ranging from chilled-out trip-hop to jungle to trance to acid house. I can wager a lot of those sounds might come off a bit dated in a game like this, but personally I turned off the in-game music and put on the most recent Square Pusher album and felt the atmosphere shift immediately. Suddenly I was in the zone and was having a great time. What's here just feels like it's present to fill the space, and I don't care for it that much. Even Super Bomberman R's soundtrack was better. This might just be a personal preference, but in a series that used to have some really great music, Super Bomberman R Online falls a little bit flat. So what's here is a great platform for Bomberman to work from going forward. and if Konami decides to keep updating and maintaining it, I think it could find its audience and do well, especially if they manage to sort out more of the technical issues. The game is bright and fun visually and pretty easy to read. It really just needs more players and the kind of polish that time will hopefully bring. I really hope it does well. We all deserve good Bomberman games. Besides, what else is Konami doing right now anyway?